Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. You are here with the Real Joy Project, and we are grateful that you are following along. And we are here just to talk. We like to get on and just have a conversation with friends, and our subject changes every week. It depends what we feel like talking about, what's going on in our lives. But we really liked to help women feel like they're not so alone out in the world with the things that they're going through right now, and just have some connection and find joy in all the seasons of your life, even the hard ones. So that's what the Real Joy Project is all about. I'm here today with Shelby, and Peggy is our guest for the day. And with Mother's Day coming up just around the corner, we're going to talk about motherhood and all the things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between. And just kind of where we're at in our lives, or like what our stories are. And hopefully some of you that are listening today might connect with us or know somebody who would. And if you do, just send them our way. And hopefully we're going to have a great conversation today. So welcome, ladies.
Hey, I'm Shelby. Welcome to the Real Joy Project with Jenny and myself. We're really excited to be here. I am a first-time mom to a little girl who is actually about to turn 2 in June. I can't believe how fast time is flying by, but I am just excited to be a mom. I'm excited to be a part of the Real Joy Project and the conversation that we are having today.
Exactly. So Shelby's got a little one. I have two girls. They're 17 and 19. And Peggy, our guest with us today, is we're going to let her tell her story. So welcome, Peggy. Tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your motherhood journey so far.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me here, Jenny and Shelby. I really do appreciate it, and just getting to know you girls. So, my motherhood story is a little different. I have a 45 and a 50-year-old son. So, but when I was 25, I had cancer and I ended up having a hysterectomy. And so my chance of motherhood that way, naturally was, taken away, I guess. So I didn't know what that meant for my future, but as luck would have it, and with God's guidance, I met my husband Mike like 5 or 6 years later, and his first wife had passed away from cancer about the same time I was going through treatments, and when she passed away, she had a 18-month-old son and a 5-year-old son, or 7-year-old, I'm sorry. And so when I met Mike, it had been about 10 years, I think, since their mom had passed away. So we ended up getting married in 1991, 2 weeks before my 36th birthday, so I was older. I'm a teacher. I was a teacher. I'm retired. But, and I knew how to take care of children, what they needed at school, how to give them love, those things. But I just remember coming home from our honeymoon. We went to Hawaii for a week, and then we came back to the hills and we camped with the boys for a week to make them part of, so we could just kind of glue us together a little bit, I guess.
Connect you. Yes.
And so we got home, and it was my birthday, and I remember being down in the laundry room, and the whole room was full of 2 weeks of laundry for 4 people. And I just remember standing there going, oh my gosh, what did I do? And like, I don't know how to do this. And I often, our son Jared now lives in the same house. We're connected. We have our own apartments, our own houses, but we have a lot of conversations, and he's the older one. He was close to his mom, whereas Anthony did not know his mom really. She had passed away when he was almost 2. So
Yeah.
when we got married, Anthony and I really clicked. The two of us really bonded well together. It was harder for Jared, and he often, he asked me at the beginning if he had to call me Peg or had to call me Mom, and I said, absolutely not. You do not have to call me Mom. We're going to try and honor your mom and remember your mom. And so we did things like that. But it wasn't always easy. And I do tell him, I said, I was a terrible stepmom. I apologize to him all the time, because I said, Mike gave me golf clubs for my wedding gift, and I went off golfing with the girls. I honestly do not know what these 2 boys did the summer we got married. I think I came home and fed them, but I don't know. But but I mean, it was just I had been single for
Yeah.
35 years. So after graduating from high school, I was really on my own for 18 years, and I led an adventurous life. I like to travel, and I did a lot of things. So it was hard to come. Well, marriage is always hard. You have to work at it. And then to have these two children, I'm happy to say that we all get along now really well, and I've been blessed now with 6 grandchildren. So
Oh,
going from not being able to have children, thinking I would never have children, to having 2 sons that I've grown to love, and we have a great relationship, and now 6 grandchildren. So there definitely
that's
was
really
ups and
awesome.
downs, but and
Well,
I
and
okay, go ahead.
no, like you said, you were used to being independent for 36 years, but I'm sure they also had a system between dad and the boys, like this is our system and what we
Right.
do. And so that had to be hard. I mean, you just think about even when you first move out and you like to college age and you move in with a girlfriend, you have to figure out how to balance that. So to move in with a husband and an instant family or insta family,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, yeah, that had to have been really hard to adapt to. So they were how old when you
Um,
when you got married?
I think Anthony was 10 and Jared was 15. So Anthony
Oh
was like a
yeah,
3rd or 4th grader, and Jared was just going to start high school. So,
yeah,
and that was a harder time. I mean, they had moved from Rapid City, so
okay,
adjustment. Um, and they did spend a lot of time with their mom's grandma growing up. And so
yeah,
and then they had Mike's parents too. So they spent a lot of time with their grandparents growing
yeah,
up. And then, yeah. So,
yeah. That would be hard, and 15 is hard enough that yeah, that it would be. And when you're a 15-year-old boy and trying to relate to a 36-year-old woman that just moved in your house, I mean, it's even like watching my girls. They're 17 and 19, and my husband sometimes like there's they don't have a lot in common right now,
yeah,
you know. So yeah, yeah. So I can see that would have been very hard. I love though that you have been blessed with them in your lives and your grandchildren. So how what are the ranges of your grandchildren right
okay.
now?
So our oldest grandchild, William, is in college. He goes to Ames, Iowa. So he's 20.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you where grades they're at because I don't know exactly their age. So that's Jared's kids are William, he's in college, and then Jack is a sophomore and Andrew is a freshman.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And then Anthony's kids, they live in Oklahoma City, so we don't see them as often. They have a daughter, Reese, that's she's a junior. And then he's actually only 1 day difference between Andrew, but they kept him back a year, so he is a 8th grader. And then
Okay.
and then Ellie, so we have 2 granddaughters. Ellie is a 6th grader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yes. So some of your grandkids are kind of in the range of my kids, kind of where we're at in
Right.
that stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Are they do they all live close to you? Well, some of them I know are like right next door, but and the other set is
So the 2 girls and the 1 boy live in Oklahoma, and the other 3 live here. So I'm
okay.
really close to, yeah. And they were the ones that lived in Hawaii. And so
Okay.
when they were younger, actually Jack might have been 3. I don't know. I really don't know how Angie, my daughter-in-law, had the courage to let them come to our house for the summer. They were there like a month, and he was only like 3 years old. So
Oh,
for
wow.
2 summers, we had William and Andrew at our house. So that was very, very special. I just felt so honored that they would let us do that. And then when I retired, I shouldn't maybe get into that, but
No, that's good.
when I retired, everybody else was either going to work, because at that time we lived in the same house for 2 years. Mike and I lived in the basement.
Okay.
So everybody else was going to work except me. I retired. And then Andrew, he was only 4, so he couldn't go to school yet. So then we spent that whole year together just doing adventures because Jared works at home. So he needed to have Andrew out of the picture, not bugging him all the time. So,
Right. Right. Well,
so
and I know, like, and you talk about sometimes going into retirement was hard for you because you were used to being around so many people as a teacher, not just kids, but adults and stuff too. So, that transition, that's like a season of motherhood, right? Like,
Right. Yes,
yes,
exactly. Exactly.
yes. Oh my gosh. I love your story. And especially for the fact that I can't imagine being 25 and going through that where like you're told you can't have children. Like that's like, that would be very hard, very hard.
You know, it was really hard. I'd never, because I loved kids. I guess I just always thought I would have kids.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of luck with boyfriends, so I didn't even know that I thought I would have a boyfriend or a husband. I thought I would just or I would just have a baby, like some people
Yeah.
do, you know.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
but then that didn't happen. So yeah, that was a very hard time for me, and I'll have to say I probably went through um, after that a period of depression. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
because and then my dad passed away at the same time, like 5 years later. So yeah, so I'm sure I was in a period of depression.
That makes absolute sense to me
Yeah.
that you would be.
So
Yeah.
to meet
That,
Mike was just like a godsend.
yeah. I love that. That's awesome. And sometimes it's like the timing. I think I'm just thinking like when you're 25, you were probably a fairly new teacher, just a couple years in,
Yep.
and then you like sometimes you have this vision of this is the next step and this is the next step. And so you were rewarded with patience during that time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was, yes.
Well, and I always like to look at it too as in like those children you were meant to be in their lives. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Now that I know so. It was a God thing, I think, for all of us. Um,
Yeah.
and we've just grown to become a very close family. Um, I will have to say, you talked about like a little bit about Mother's Day gifts. And so the first Mother's Day we would almost been married a year because we got married in June. And I know Mike went, and my mom came to visit, and I know he went and bought me a necklace that had an H for Hanzlik, and he gave my mom one that said M for Murphy. And I liked it, but I thought, well, that really isn't from the boys. I kind of, you were like, eh. But sometime, and I can't remember the exact year. I thought I always would remember the exact date this happened, but I don't remember. Um, oh heck, my computer's unplugged and
Oh,
hang on.
oh, that's okay.
There we go.
It's okay. Yes.
Anyway, it was Christmas time, and I got a gift from Jared and Anthony, and um, I opened it up, and it was a box of Kleenex, and I was like, "What the heck?" And it ended up being a necklace. I actually have it on. I wear it sometimes, but it's very small. But it's three hearts, and it says MOM. And
Aw.
the boys had picked that out for me, and the Kleenex was because they knew I would cry.
Oh,
So,
that is super
uh,
sweet.
so that was probably the best Mother's Day gift I've ever gotten, and honestly,
Yes.
I'm not sure if I've gotten a lot since then. Guys are different. They don't always remember. You're lucky, Shelby, you have a girl, because I think she'll always remember and you have girls. But guys
Oh,
don't remember. And when they get
no.
married, their daughters-in-law don't always remember either.
Oh my gosh, Peggy, that's so funny that you bring up the expectations around Mother's Day and how guys think so much differently. I think of my situation with my husband. I had obviously some really high expectations for Mother's Day, and I've had a couple of them that I've gotten to celebrate now, but looking back, I had to like lay it out for him and say, this is exactly what I want for Mother's Day because I knew from previous experiences, birthdays, Christmas, other things that I had really high expectations for, that if you don't speak up and say what you want, then you're probably not gonna get close to those expectations. But also realizing too that you can't have unrealistic expectations too. But I literally spoke to my husband and said, I want to have French toast at breakfast on Mother's Day. I want my breakfast in bed. I want to have just a cup of coffee and wake up and not feel like I have to, jump straight into motherhood. So he has, a little checklist that he knows every year is the expectations that I have for Mother's Day. Breakfast in bed. Hopefully it's French toast with a side of coffee. He takes care of our daughter from start to finish in the morning. And then I did ask him for a handwritten note, which obviously is coming from him right now. But as our daughter gets older, she'll be able to write something special in there for me. So setting yourself up with just some realistic expectations, but not being scared to voice that to the people that have to implement it for you.
For me, it was different. And it's, we also think about everybody's love language, like the different love languages of what speaks to people. And for my husband and I, it's not gifts, but when it came to those first couple of Mother's Days, I was still expecting some, and so the first few, and I, even with my girls as they get older, my girls are not, they are not. You would think that my sister has two boys. They love to shop for their mama. And my girls are like, it's Mother's Day. Oh, happy Mother's Day. No, I will say they have gotten much better the last couple of years because they are a little bit older and, have a little bit of their own money. But my husband, one time I remember him even telling me, he's like, well, you're my wife. You're not my mom, and so he literally didn't even think like to go and get me something for Mother's Day, or he's like, but and yeah, just little things like that. So I had to learn, and I had a friend that was the same way. Like the first couple of years of motherhood, we were like all excited for Mother's Day, and then we were like, well, that was what happened. Like nothing happened. And so we had to let go of those expectations. And there's kind of a joke that goes around Mother's Day. Usually that's like all mothers should get the day off. Like you should literally like, see you guys, I'm out, And I've learned to do that. Like my rule is I won't cook on my birthday
Yeah.
or Mother's Day. And so if I'm either going to go get my own thing, or you guys can figure out, I don't care. I'll feed myself somewhere. And that's basically my thing. And I've learned just to do whatever I want that day. I usually make it a relaxing day. I like to spend the time with my family. But I'm usually like, I'm not doing anything extra today. And so when they were really little, I would be like, you can't fight today. It's Mother's Day. Like that was the thing. That was my gift for the day. You can't fight. But I do remember having huge expectations of what it was going to look like, and it did not look like that. But that's my husband literally, and I can't fault him, but because like Shelby, you laid it out. You're like, this is what I expect. I didn't do that. I didn't think to do that. And I remember saying something. He's like, well, you're not my mom. Like, like, well, that's true, but so it's funny how everybody has those different expectations, and we've been together 30 years now. And so now we know each other well, and we know more of what the other one expects or not expects, but we're not big gift givers. And so it's more like spending time together and doing things like that. Or like I said, I'm not cooking and cleaning Mother's Day or my birthday. Those are my days. But it is funny because you would think that about girls and boys, but it's not always that way.
Yeah. Nice, yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes you have to let go of those expectations, or if they're really important to you, you have to speak up, and say that. I have a friend who loves gifts, and so she speaks up. He knows there better be a gift here. And that's awesome.
Michael say, I didn't get you anything for Mother's Day. And I think I almost always respond, but I'm not your mother. So you don't have to get, I let him off the hook. But my daughter-in-laws they help their kids get me something.
Yes.
And it's usually flowers, like to plant in the garden, because they know I love to take care of flowers. So
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep. I think, and
it's just not as important either as you get older. You know that they appreciate you.
mm-hmm.
And the gift itself isn't as important. It's the time, just
Yes.
spending a few minutes with them. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes like my mother-in-law's not with us anymore. She passed away a couple years ago, but some years it's like we couldn't do, something with our family and something with my mom and something with her, and so sometimes it's just like I try to find something around that time also to spend with my mom if we can't be together on that day.
Mhm.
And if you don't live near them, of course, too, or things like that, that it's a little bit different. So um and then like when now Mother's Day is kind of hard for my husband because his mom's not here. So that's a hard day for him. And I recognize that right away. And it's so then it's like it's not all about me today at all. Like those, especially in these first couple of years, it's just allowing him, he needs his space on that day also to just do what he needs to do, and
Yeah.
reflect and feel those emotions. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Peggy, I've been wanting to ask you since you're a grandma now, and both Jenny and I are moms, but I live far away from my parents. I'm down in Houston, Texas, and my parents are still in Montana. And you mentioned having grandkids down in Oklahoma. Um, how do you find the balance between all of your family dynamic? So, the last couple of years for Mother's Day, I have gotten to spend the day with my mother-in-law. And this is the first year that I will get to spend Mother's Day with my mom as I've become a mom. So how do you keep it balanced and fair for everyone with everyone kind of spread out all over the place?
It's hard because we live right in the vicinity of three of our grandchildren and our son, and I've told this to my whole family. It's not that we love them more, it's just that we know them better because we have day in and out conversations, and as they get older, kids grow up. We don't have as many conversations with the kids. They're busy and they're doing
Yeah.
things that kids should be doing. They
Yeah.
don't need grandma. I just appreciate if I want to give them a hug in public and they don't turn me away. I thank them.
Oh,
I thank them all the time. Thank you for later. I'll say thank you for letting me. This old grandma hug you is what I say, but because it gets different. But it is hard, I think, with our kids in Oklahoma. We do phone calls. We used to do Skype. We don't do that anymore. I just text the kids more as they get older. I have more of a texting relationship with them because they're in school too. So then it's more on their time type thing.
yeah.
But it
Yeah.
is harder like when your mom's in Montana. I even thought when I first got married too, because um, I felt like Mike and the boys, they were used to being with their mom and then their other grandma. So my mom was kind of she wasn't really on the outskirts, but they lived in Arlington. They lived in the eastern part of the state, and the others lived in the western part of the state, and we were in the middle. So like at Christmas time, even, I mean, it's away from Mother's Day, but we would spend our time together, and then we'd always go to the other family, to the Hanzlik family, just because that was really that's the boys' family.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, it's hard. Like for
Yep.
my mom she was like a step grandma, and she treated them like they were her grandkids, but it's a little bit different that way too. So sometimes that distance, I think you just have to really try harder to make sure you make those contacts with them.
So that's what I think is the really cool thing about technology right now is you can keep people close to you even if they live states away from you. We use FaceTime a lot with my parents, so my daughter like sees them every day on the phone, or they're getting pictures of her. But FaceTime has been a real game changer for us, so that our daughter like recognizes my mom and dad, even though she's not seeing them as often as my in-laws. But on top of that, we're also just taking that that time to make sure that either my daughter and I are up visiting in Montana, or my parents are coming down here to visit every like 2 to 3 months.
I would say one thing as a grandma, I always appreciate, and I know we all take pictures on our phones. I mean, I know some people send pictures of their grandkids every day, but just pictures because they grow up so fast that, and actually when the kids lived in Hawaii, we did not meet Andrew until he was a year old because of our jobs. It just didn't work out that we could fly to Hawaii at that time. And so, and just so being able to see them and getting pictures every couple weeks or something, it doesn't take much, but that really is something that this grandma appreciates.
Yeah.
So,
And when they're little, and I know, like Shelby, you FaceTime with your folks a lot, I think, don't you? And so, like, you sent me a picture one time when they met you at the airport, and she ran right to them, and it's like that's really amazing. And I think that the technology of that FaceTime and stuff does that. She
yes.
knows their face, she knows their voice, even their actions. Like as I'm using, talking with my hands and things. Yeah, so that's a gift.
Yeah, Jenny, with that trip, it was really cool to see that Lakin really did recognize my parents. Um, I know another thing that has been helpful for us is we have one of those electronic picture frames. So there's an app where you can like send pictures from your phone to other people's picture frames, and it's like a slideshow of all the pictures that you send. So my parents have one, my in-laws have one, but Lakin also has one in her bedroom. And so, my in-laws can send pictures of themselves, and my parents can send pictures. So when Lakin's in her room, she can see everybody on there. So she's getting that day to day, like, oh, there's Papa and Gigi. And some of our friends have sent us some pictures too, just people that she doesn't get to see on a regular basis, or coming up on that electronic picture frame. And it's just a really good way for her to see people and recognize them. So when we are together in person, she's like, yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah, that's a cool gift.
It is a
Yeah.
cool deal.
And I think, Peggy, what you said to my mom, is like her grandkids are all in high school, and a couple are just right out of high school. But same thing. I've heard her thank them for giving grandma a hug, and stuff too. I think that means so much to her when they do that. Especially anytime, but when you're in public and they
Yeah.
do, that's really
It's
cool.
not always
They
cool to do it for their friends. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when they were little, they spent a lot of time at my mom's, and they would have grandkids sleepovers and, things like that. And I remember her saying, it won't last long. So I want to take advantage of that. And in my head, I was in the middle of motherhood of little kids that it felt like it was going to take forever before they were grown up. And now they are. It was like, I seen that happen. Like now I'm like, holy cow, that did happen fast, and it's like almost overnight where they're busy. They're busy doing their own thing, as they should be, like you said. But I look back and now I remember her saying that and going, yeah, that was probably a hint to me to be like, the time's going to go by fast.
JennyLee, where does your mom live? Close to you?
Yeah, she's like 4 miles from me. She lives
Oh,
in the
okay.
country and I live in town. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
very
think
close.
I think that's the difference too, because growing up, my grandma lived like 40 miles away. My other one was 20 miles away. A lot of people have their mom and dad and both grandparents in the same town. And that
Yeah,
really that's not happening as much anymore. It's more like
no,
you, Shelby, where it's across states.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening as much like as it used to anymore because everybody spreads out a little bit. But yeah, where I grew up, my grandpa lived we grew up on the same farm. So
Yeah.
I like toddled across the road, and I see my grandpa every day.
Yeah, same for me, Jenny. My one grandpa literally lived like down the street from us, and then my other grandparents live like 20 minutes away from us in town. So I grew up in a really small town as well, and we considered it like being out on the farm, even though it wasn't actual farmland. But we were in town all the time, seeing my grandparents that lived in town. And then I know we saw my one grandpa almost every single day because he was just like right there.
Yep. We went every Sunday. My dad's mom lived in town, which was 4 miles from the farm, and every Sunday after church we went to her house. So yeah, my grandparents were definitely right there, which
That's
was really cool. Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
because every Sunday my grandma and her daughter that never married, which is a whole nother story, but they would come to our house and spend the day with us. So yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Every Sunday we would go have coffee with grandma. The adults would have coffee and we would have M&Ms in the little Tupperware cups
Oh,
every Sunday. Like the things you remember.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, the bright colored Tupperware cups, that never broke. So, yeah, we get a little bit of M&Ms in there. That was, yeah, it's a cool memory, but yeah. Yeah. One of the other things I was going to say about expectations of Mother's Day, I think one of the things for me too, more than um gifts and like that type of thing, was expecting Mother's Day to go smooth because it was Mother's Day. Like I was teasing about like telling my kids they couldn't fight on Mother's Day, but there's a time period in between there where your kids are toddlers and preschoolers and all the things. And you're like, well, Mother's Day is going to be a calm, quiet day and it's going to be a beautiful day. And we're going to have dinner together, and not life doesn't work that way on a normal daily basis with kids. And so I think I had a Mother's Day or two like that too. That was like exhausting and like, wait, that's not how today was supposed to go. So if you're out there listening and you have young kids, go with the flow. Like let go of those expectations. Your
Yeah,
toddler doesn't know what day it is and they don't care.
Jenny, I'm pretty sure you're talking right to me about the whole toddler Mother's Day thing. So I will make note of that it is not always what it's meant to be.
Yeah, yeah, it's just learning to, I think some of it too is just, now it's different. Like I said, I don't cook. I try to just enjoy the day and take the day to look back to and remember the good times of being a mother. Like I try to intentionally take some time on that day to think about that, like my own motherhood journey myself, and like the good times, like the good things and the good memories. Just pause in that moment and remember, like, and think back and remember. Like I think that's something else on Mother's Day that is just a good thing to do, is if you're like now, like where I am, I've been a mom for 19 years, is to just to pause and look back and go, yeah, it's been a journey. For sure.
I think, you said take a moment to think about the memories, but like with us, all three of our moms are gone. So
Yeah.
it's like I feel like we take a moment, at least I do. I don't know if Mike does, but just to think about just some funny memories. I just remember, falling in the creek one time when I came home from college and my mom saying, Peggy Joe, you're never going to grow up. You're never going to be a lady. So I think of those kinds of things and just think, oh, I bet she's in heaven just laughing at me. But
Yep.
then how sweet my mother-in-law, was, and I just loved her dearly. And different things we would do, like at Thanksgiving, her and I would get up early and make the stuffing, and nobody else was up for like 3 hours. So we
Yeah.
had really special conversations. And then Grandma Hart was Mike's first wife's um, mother-in-law, and she just embraced me into her family. It was just a beautiful thing. So it's like I've had three moms and I've been blessed with. I try to remember them and think about them a little bit. So because not everybody has their mom, and it's a hard time for
Exactly.
some people. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's just that, like just a good time to reflect on that and be grateful for the for what was. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it is a hard time for a lot. Like I said, I know for my husband that it's a hard day, and for his siblings and stuff. And I haven't been there yet, so it's one of those days. My mom lost her mom when she was in her early 20s, and I didn't think about that. Like as a child, I never thought, oh, Mother's Day must be hard for my mom. I didn't think about that till I became a mom, and
Hmm.
then it was like ding, 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 you know, like,
Yeah.
but never as a child did I pause and think about that. And, you know, so yeah, sometimes it's just that reflecting on those memories and those moments, and taking the time to honor those who came before us, and those who are growing with us and going through the journey with us
Yeah,
right now. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, anything else, ladies, that you want to share today before we sign off for the day?
I just wanted to thank Peggy for coming on with us. I know Peggy's been our biggest fan from the very beginning, so it's been really exciting visiting with you. I know one of mine and Jenny's goals when we first started talking about the Real Joy Project was to bring women together and for women to connect through all seasons of life, but also bring the different generations together too. So it's been really cool visiting with you today, Peggy, and we really appreciate you joining us today.
I just thank you for inviting me. I just truly enjoyed it. It was really fun, and you ladies are you're a joy in my heart whenever I think about different things. And I did order the pink sweater, the pink
Yes.
t-shirt. I hope I get it soon. But I decided just to buy myself a gift. So
Yep, exactly.
sometimes you can do that
Shelby,
for
do you want to
yourself.
show that real quick?
Yeah, so Jenny and I designed a Mother's Day exclusive t-shirt. It says Mom Life Full of Joy on the front, and then hopefully you guys can see it here on the back. It says the Real Joy Project in a cool little stamp. So, like Jenny said, they do come in the cream and light pink color, and that we have the mom version and the grandma version as well. So these are going to be limited edition Mother's Day t-shirts. So make sure to grab one. Grab one for yourself or that special mom or grandma in your life.
And then we also have bracelets that have the same sayings on them. So so go check those out at therealjoyproject.com. But thank you for bringing that up. I almost forgot about that. So thank you, Peggy. And thank you for being with us here, Peggy. You really are our biggest fan, and we absolutely love the feedback that you share with us and just the joy. And these are what our conversations are all about. They're literally just a conversation of a couple women getting together. The subjects change from one conversation to another, but we appreciate you being here with us. And yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Happy
So,
Mother's Day to you both.
and you too,
Thank you.
And happy Mother's Day to everybody out there listening. And if you enjoyed this conversation, we would love if you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on future subscriptions, and give us a like below and leave any comments. If you have any comments for us or thoughts, we would love to hear from you. So happy Mother's Day, everybody out there. And let's finish off this week well.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.